Andy, what did we watch this week?
Oh my god, everyone, we watched Pretty Little Liars. Oh, it's so good, man. Oh, it's so good, man.
Now, normally, ladies and gentlemen, what we do on this podcast is we watch a bad TV show or movie and make fun of it. But I'm here to proudly announce that this is now a Pretty Little Liars fan cast.
Yes. Yes.
Welcome to Bad Watch 2.0.
I have decided that I'm going to keep watching this show with Allison. We are going to make the most fun of it. Oh, it's so bad good.
I kept telling people that this was what we were doing our next episode on for the podcast, and so many of the people I spoke with are like, that's such a bad show, and I watched every episode.
Yeah. This is, Evan, this is what we trained for. This is what we came for.
We have reached our apotheosis as television watchers.
Oh, delicious. Oh, I want this to be shown at B-Fest. Just this, the whole show.
We should just have a Pretty Little Liars festival.
Oh my god, it's so bad. It's so good. It's so bad.
I think that's our next venture, is just everyone in one movie theater watching all of these gloriously bad television episodes.
Everyone's 25-year-olds, teachers, students, everyone's 25, and they're all boning each other, and it's terrible and awesome. Oh, it's beautiful.
Now, this show is set amongst these high schoolers who, I think some of them are older than me, for sure. And in 2010, when this show first aired,
okay,
I had been out of high school for 3 years. So... And I know one of the people there's like 32 or something now, and I'm 30, so that gives you some idea.
All right.
And that's the one thing about this show where it sort of fails, is where literally everyone looks the same age, which is like, in their 20s.
Mm-hmm. And they're all playing high schoolers, and it's just like... But you know what? It is... But I despise child actors, so I'm sort of okay with it.
And, this show knows it's bad, and it also refuses to apologize for that fact. Mm-hmm. And that is largely what makes it such a good bad watch.
Good bad watch.
We, of course, started with Season 2, Episode 1, as we are wont to do. Mm-hmm. And this episode is titled, It's Alive. Which, when I first saw that, I thought it was a nod to the Kiss live album, Kiss Alive.
Really? That's where you went?
That's where I went. I was like, maybe they're going to do some Gene Simmons gag where one of the people has a grossly long tongue.
That's a bold thought there.
Straight out, I know. That's how my brain works. It's fine. Now, straight out of the gate, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting this. All of these episodes are streaming on Netflix, and there are 7 beautiful seasons of this show.
Delicious.
Straight out of the gate, we're watching the recap of season 1, and Andy's like, no, skip it, no. And I was like, how dare you, sir? The one time we didn't get a recap, we were in such deep water that we could barely recap the show in question. So I insisted that we keep watching. And
boy, am I glad we did.
And it was maybe the greatest moment in Bad Watch history, because the end of season 1, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, do you remember that Disney Channel original movie Smart House?
No.
Well, that was on the same time where you weren't watching Alex Mack.
I was going to say, like, you know my history.
There are so many kids listening right now, or people who used to be kids, and they're like, Smart House, oh my god, I haven't thought of that dumb fucking movie in ages. But the kid in Smart House is the character of Ian, and Ian and one of the 4 titular liars, they're at the top of a church bell tower, and he pushes the pretty liar. I think the liar's name is Spencer. One of the 3 brunettes. It's not the blonde one.
And there are multiple people named Spencer, too.
This is the one they affectionately refer to as Spence, who makes really strong coffee, apparently. It's like her one character trait. But he pushes her down the bell shaft, but she catches onto the edge And she's like, "You're in love with my sister. How could you do this to me?" And he's like, "It's because I love your sister that I'm doing this." And then a black hooded figure, like a figure
like the
covered in
recap
black.
shouldn't-
I don't know if they are a black individual.
The recap shouldn't make me roll my eyes, but it did.
But then this black hooded figure emerges from the shadows and just straight up kicks Ian Sparta style down the bell tower. I don't actually know if it was a kick, but that's what I'm choosing to believe.
Yeah, there was a tussle of some sort.
Ian is thrown down the bell tower, and he just, all of a sudden, there's a cut to Ian suspended in midair in the bell tower with a rope very casually draped around his neck. And we're supposed to believe that not only is he dead, but he like snapped his neck in this bell tower fall. And it's maybe one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It's so enjoyable.
Well, it is, it's a well-known fact that bell tower enthusiasts often loop ropes just for this sort of event. It's a common thing,
Yeah, and there's literally no way that
No way.
Unless Ian had the greatest bounce ever for a falling body, where he comes down, he hits the floor of the church, and he jostles one of the ropes, and it comes back up into the air with him.
He crafts a noose as he's flying back up.
He is in bullet time. Ian is falling in bullet time. That's just how it has to work.
But it's specifically it's suicidal bullet time because he has to set up the rope to do this.
But it's not successfully suicidal because we all then learn, like, the four Pretty Little Liars, they go tell the people in the town of, what is it, Ravenswood? I don't know where the hell they live. It's like Stars. It's like Diet Coke Stars Hollow.
Yeah, that's what you were saying the whole time we watched it. We watched this together. It was a delight.
So they go tell people, like, oh my God, Ian's dead in the bell tower. Because, of course, as soon as Spence is no longer in trouble, the other three show up. And then they take the cops back into the church, and they look up in the bell tower, and there's no one there.
It's as if like they made up the body, and they're like, but I have so many questions of how that even occurred. Just like, what were you like? Did you just run away, and then like 6 hours later, like, yeah, we should probably tell someone, or just like
I think it's all supposed to have occurred in the same evening. But
that makes it more frustrating.
Not only did Ian disentangle his own corpse from the bell tower ropes, he completely vanished from the scene as if he was never there.
God, I really want him to have an evil good twin that's sort of doing this, or like they worked, or it's the Prestige. This is leading up to. Oh my God, I have to watch the show. It's the Prestige. I'm gonna end up with a copy of him.
I respect Christopher Nolan too much to get on board with that joke, but that would be enjoyable, though, if what you're saying is true. So no one in the town believes that Ian is actually dead. They just think he's missing, which, is odd because he is married to Spencer's older sister, and
all these girls are saying that he died. They're really saying he died.
The cops think, no, he's just missing, and you girls are somehow involved. And also, Spencer's older sister is pregnant with Ian's baby.
And there's suitably cheesy lines about that.
Yes, and they are going to name the baby Taylor. We'll get back to Taylor at the end of this recap. Now, there's... Oh, God, like, you guys, it is just... So, the four girls are all piled into one cop car, which... I wrote down the joke, 4 girls, 1 cop.
Mm-hmm. But they know the cop, and the cop is working with them. There's a possible murder issue here, and he's like, yes. Hey guys, we're gonna go to an alley, and I'm gonna let you go, and we'll talk about things.
He drives them to a place that is clearly not the police station. He parks the cop car in an alley. He makes all of them get out, and I was like, is he gonna kill them all? Season 2 premiere? That's kind of awesome. And then they're just ghosts the rest of the show.
We're gonna get new liars. We're gonna get better liars.
He says, it's not safe in the car. And he tells them, he's like, you need to come up with a story for how you have your footage. And I don't even know who's in the footage, but apparently that was what everyone was talking about in the first season, where they're blackmailing someone with a video they have of like a sexual seduction.
Yeah, this whole show everything is predicated upon people being assholes, and like it's I guess it's sort of suitably named Everyone Lies, I guess, and like Dr. House would be very pleased with the show. Everyone lies and everyone's terrible and they're just abusing each other. It's a terrible show. The characters are all assholes. I love it.
Yeah, it is. Like, think of the most bizarre and absurd soap opera plot, and then imagine it being played out in Stars Hollow High School.
Yeah. No one's their own cousin's uncle right now, so far, that we're aware of. But
there's probably an evil twin. I'm sure there's going to be some amnesia at some point.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, I mean, we get delivered such this the favorite line, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna ruin this for you ever early, but my favorite line that we heard is, "We'll all be those girls who blinded Jennifer Marshall," and that was just something they said. That's a line they said.
Yeah, they're having like a sleepover after they've had this traumatic experience where one of them was almost killed. Her brother-in-law has vanished, and they're just casually chatting in their pajamas. And they're like, "Well, if we don't do this, we'll just be those girls who blinded Jenna Walker."
And Evan and I, we just look at each other like,
and we're
what?
like, hold on, wait, what the fuck?
What?
It's incredible in the worst way. Yeah, is really all that I can say about that. But it is maybe the greatest line in the whole show. And then, so this is the day after there's this whole thing with Ian disappearing. They go downstairs at the house where they're all staying, and everyone's parents are in the kitchen. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, they are so clearly trying for these adult actors to look like other famous actors that I started calling, like there's Diet Coke Mariska Hargitay, who's the star of Law & Order SVU. Mm-hmm. There's Diet Coke Big.
She was based on her behaviors. And a little bit of her looks, but mostly like she was just acting like the exact same. She's like, that's my role model. That's how I learned how to act from her.
We're doing an alternate universe where Mariska Hargitay never became a cop. And now you have to act very suspicious of your daughter. Okay, go. And then there's Diet Coke Big, the character of Big from Sex and the City. There's Diet Coke Rob Lowe, played by none other than Chad Lowe, which we did not realize that I didn't know I didn't know Rob Lowe had a fucking brother. I was like, this guy looks so much like Rob Lowe, and he talks the same fucking way.
He's got that cadence, yeah.
One of the people we were watching it with was like, oh, that's Chad Lowe. And we were like, what? And there's one of the people from one of the Charmed witches.
Yes.
Is there. And it's just.
And she was there. And
she is so totally phoning it in. Like, she seems half asleep in all of her scenes. And it was hilariously amazing. But they are like, well, you girls have some splaining to do. And then. They're like, we don't know what's going on. And then Spencer's older sister is like, we're not going to have you around this baby because you're jealous. Trash.
You're trying to set up, like, my husband wouldn't leave me. It was just like, I mean, it's sort of just an angsty ridiculousness that I was like, don't care.
Yeah.
We're probably supposed to be invested in this baby by now, but I was like, I don't care.
The most interesting thing about the character of Spencer's older sister was that, according to Joyce, who was one of the people we watched this with, she was the crazy nanny on One Tree Hill, which is another show I have not seen and perhaps we should cover in a future Bad Watch. Mm-hmm. But, so then Spencer's boyfriend shows up and her dad tells Spencer to fuck off because I don't know why. He's maybe, like, I guess he's mad at Spencer for being Spencer or being a liar. And so he tells the boy to go away. And then there's this mysterious blind woman who is following them around. And I think this is Jenna Walker?
Marshall. I have it written down. Jennifer Marshall. I think that's the girl that they're referencing that they blinded in a previous episode.
And this was the first instance where the fact that everyone is so clearly not in high school works against this show, because I was so unclear on how old Jenna was supposed to be.
Did they blind an adult?
I think so, because she's never in any of the high school scenes.
Right.
And the one time you see her with one of the high school boys, I felt like he was her son.
Yeah, it was.
But she is maybe
so
at most a year or two older than the four main characters.
Or maybe there's multiple blind people in the show and they're slowly murdering off, blinding off all the characters.
We're first introduced to this woman in the recap, and then once the episode starts and the cop gets the four liars out of his car and is talking to them, you clearly see her. The camera just shifts focus to zoom in on her in the background on the sidewalk, just standing there with a cane and her sunglasses
head slightly tilted. It was like, oh, she's got superhuman hearing. Okay.
And I was like, is this supposed to be a Daredevil spinoff?
Lady Daredevil. Instead of like an accident, though, it's malicious blinding.
And that's the thing. If it was a malicious blinding, there's no like scarring to indicate how she lost her sight. So I'm very curious about this Jenna character.
Yeah. Well, I bet she was like, no, my face is my product. You do not get to scar me.
It's in my contract that if I'm blinded for this dumb fucking show, it has to be some like weird other thing that's not visible on my face.
Exactly. Oh, man.
It's crazy though, and
my favorite is they also show up. They have a chat with this lady at one point, and it's just like she's like giving all this attitude, but she's like, I mean, she's doing the blind thing, so she's looking off in the wrong angle. I was like, that sort of negates a little bit of the attitude if you're just looking the wrong way.
Yes, if you're like eye contact would have really helped her line delivery. I feel like. But the parents, when they see the four girls come downstairs, the whole takeaway is sort of like, you four need to get your story straight because no one is fucking buying it. Like, it's so wild. They're like, if you're gonna lie to the police, at least tell a good fucking lie.
Yeah, I think they're like, we believe you, but you just need to like be clear. And like, I think the parents are just like, we've been dealing with your BS for so long, a whole season, and you also blinded that person. It's terrible. Oh man, these characters are it's just a terrible thing. Apparently this is a book series as well. So I sort of want to get on that sordid little train ride at some point and see just how deep the well goes.
Yeah. Another thing we learned in the recap that's relevant to what happens next is that the main Pretty Little Liar, who I think of as the main one, maybe just because she's the most recognizable actor in the whole show, played by Lucy Hale. She was in the second Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, she was one of the younger sisters of the Sisterhood. Like the step-sisterhood, I guess.
That feels like a deep cut to me. I don't.
You know what?
It's
not important how many times I've seen both of those films. It's just, it's fine. But she's she's a recognizable actor, and she's the main Pretty Little Liar, at least in my mind. And in the recap from season 1,
because of your prior pants relationship with her.
Yes, we share a pair of pants. And you can only tell lies while you're wearing them. Now, I'm not wearing them, so this is true. But in the recap of season 1, you see Arya, the character's name is Arya, talking to some guy, and it just really seems like Arya finds out that her boyfriend Ezra had a previous girlfriend. And,
like any girlfriend at all.
Like had ever kissed another person or held their hand. And it was very weird. And then, unbeknownst to us, like it's like he's her teacher. And
but they're definitely the same age.
They are very clearly the same age, which is why we didn't immediately catch on to this. And he's also, for sure, her English teacher. Because she goes to high school dressed like a very...
those outfits were insane.
Yeah, like she's wearing the skin tight skirt, black tights, and like she looks like she's, I don't know, she
hitting the runway later, like it's really,
hitting the runway, and then I don't know, is this like doing all the coke or something in the bathroom? Like it's wild stuff. Like no one has ever worn an outfit like that to any high school ever, I don't think, unless
I want to stand out entirely at school. Paint a target on my back.
I'm sleeping with my teacher, but I think it's really important that everyone notice me as much as possible. And so I'm hoping that these four girls are in their senior year, because if not, this teacher is just blatantly committing statutory rape with one of his students.
Yeah. Yeah. And now she's upset because
he had a previous lover. And you know what? I bet she's also mad that this woman was age appropriate for him.
Which would again still be the same age as them.
Yeah, but the 4 liars are all in the same English class. They walk in, and someone hastily drew like a hangman game on the
it's so
chalkboard.
bad.
Which I was like, wow, I haven't seen a classroom with a chalkboard in maybe a decade. Like,
Yeah.
but there's this chalkboard, and there's the hangman game, and there is a word with 5 letters, and they've already filled out the L, A, and R,
Yep.
and it's like, oh, liars is the word, and the 4 see this, and then they sit down all like haughty and smug, and then
So dumb. And all the kids are like whispering about them, and it's like, really?
it's
like,
so bizarre.
for
And then
real?
the teacher walks in, and he's like, hey, I'm going to erase this. And he's like clearly ogling Arya, the liar Arya. And then this other kid walks in who just got back from being suspended. It's unclear why he was suspended or what his relationship is to the pretty liars. But they are not happy to see him. And that is a plot point that never goes anywhere in this episode. So there's that.
Wait, no, didn't they talk to him at a later point? But like, it's still like, there's nothing about it. Didn't they talk to him?
I don't know. I don't remember. Honestly, all of the men in this show look like they auditioned for Gilmore Girls' boyfriends and were rejected. And so now they're on Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. There's even one who has the really long hair, like Logan in Gilmore Girls. But anyway.
Diet Coke Logan. Yeah, I mean, we were
Diet
just...
Coke Logan.
It was just throwing out Diet Coke versions.
And the town is
Stars
truly
Hollow.
Diet Coke Stars Hollow. Like, it's bizarre. Except instead of everyone being, like, friends and the town is really quaint, everyone is like, keeping secrets from everyone else.
Yeah.
And the town kind of just seems haunted, vaguely.
Yeah, it does. Well, that's because
then-
now there's God's Friend in Me, the hacker, is present and like texting the liars.
Dear Jesus, yes.
Just such a ridiculous
if you're
plot point.
if you're at all familiar with this show, there's the 4 liars, and they're all in contact with this mysterious person who goes by the letter A, and this A texts them like clues and also threats. And
I think it's the God. I think this is actually a crossover. They're merging God Friend in Me with Pretty Little Liars,
that makes God Friend of Me so much more forgivable.
and it's just the Old Testament God in this version.
Oh, and now the New Testament God is God Friend of Me, and he's like, God is love. Also, adopt this young boy, Mr. Policeman.
And then all the angry stuff comes to this one.
Oh God, that would be amazing. But I love the mythology you're coming up with, not only for Pretty Little Liars, but also our other bad watches. This is incredible.
They're all in one universe. I will link them.
So then there's a classic sitcom scene where the whole English class takes approximately 3 minutes, and then
Yeah.
and then
Well, I mean, we
everyone
don't
leaves
actually need to learn.
except, and they're talking in the hall outside, and then the teacher walks out, and he's like, Aria, can you come in and talk to me about your essay? And it's like, and at this point, I had joked. I was like, oh, well, she's totally boning her teacher. And it's like, he goes in and he's like, are you okay? Are we okay? And I was like, oh my God, she's really banging her teacher. And she's like, I'm fine. I just don't want to talk to you about it. He's like, well, you can. And she's like, I'm talking about it with my friends. And she handles the whole thing
So bad.
very maturely. And yeah.
Oh, I did not like.
Later,
Did not like.
Later, she goes to visit him at his apartment, and I was also like, okay, wouldn't you try to be a little more cloak and dagger about this and not wear your fucking hooker stripper skirt
Yeah.
to his front door? Like, I don't. It's all so.
No, I'm
strange.
going to study.
My teacher tutors me in private, wearing nothing but his pajama bottoms.
Yeah, he walks out in pajama bottoms and was like, all right.
Yeah, he's like, and it's not like, I told you use the servant's entrance. But she goes there and he's like, when I met you, I was still in love with my ex. And she's like, well, this is unacceptable. And then she
How
leaves his
dare you have
apartment
history.
and gets a text from A. And it's like a photo of the teacher's desk at his apartment. And it just says like something missing ?
It's like it's so ridiculous and pointless. It's like, okay, I guess I'm serious. This character is godlike in his or her or its ability to get anywhere and do anything. It's really annoying.
Yeah. So we've already talked about Arya and Spencer, but there are two others. There's the blonde one and the Latina one. So the blonde one basically filters everything in the world around her by what people are wearing and shoe color and brand of clothing.
Yeah, I don't know what, obviously we haven't seen any of her character development, but she's like,
I'm not sure she had
things
any
through shopping.
Ever.
It doesn't feel like it, certainly based on her current behavior.
No.
They're like, we're going to wait till season 3 before she grows at all.
And so her boyfriend returns to their town, and she is too hurt to take him back. And Caleb is his name, according to Wikipedia. He says that even though he left without saying goodbye, he did write a letter for her, sort of saying goodbye and explaining what he was doing. And he gave it to the other Latina character in the show named Mona.
I think it's Mona. Mona ripped up. I actually have that written down. Mona ripped up Caleb's letter for Hannah, and the tension is so bad. I have that written down as a note.
It's she rips up the letter, I guess, to ostensibly to protect Hannah. And I was like, if this is another insatiable thing where the best friend is like in love with the other friend, like that's weird. And also, I think Mona is resentful that the blonde one is back with the Pretty Little Liar clique, and not hang out with her all the time.
Yeah, Blondie's is Hannah, right?
Yes,
because I get Caleb used to like date. He used to date Mona, I think, or something.
No, he dated Hannah.
But okay, well, and then they have a meeting where Hannah's meeting Caleb, who's the Logan, right, with the long hair.
Well, it's at her house.
Yeah, and the music they played during this scene, it drew me entirely out of the scene. It's like
it is wildly distracting.
It was like, was it like violins or something? It was like something like really absurd. And it was just like, oh, this is supposed to be like a touching moment, but I'm just angry at this music being like in my face. And then the discussion, I wrote this down because it drove me nuts. The discussion was, she goes, he's looking at her, and she goes, "You aren't allowed to do that." And he's like, "What? Look at me like that." It's just,
yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's so stupid.
It's like painful to watch. This was really the one part where it made me uncomfortable with how bad it was, because it was just like the talent of the people and the writing was all of it was abysmal. But he then leaves because Blondie won't take him back. Blondie recovers herself and goes to a very nice restaurant to confront Mona. And Mona's like, "Oh, hey." And the Blondie is like, "How could you do this to me? You ripped up that letter from Caleb." And she's like, "I was doing it to protect you. I'm the only one who has your back." And then the boy who was suspended shows up and he's like, "Hey, sorry I'm late." And then Blondie storms out. So I guess that's why they don't like him, is that he's dating Mona.
Yeah, they don't want Mona to have any enjoyment in life.
So there is the fourth Pretty Little Liar, who is Latina and has an impending move to Texas, so she and her mother can live with her father. And there's this really awkward scene where the Latina liar, I think her name is Emily. It feels racist to call her Latina liar. Emily is sitting on her bed, just casually rewatching the blackmail material that she has for the four Pretty Little Liars.
Oh, yeah,
and then there's a tall,
dumb.
dark, handsome man in the doorway to her bedroom, and she stands up and like slaps the computer shut. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'm the realtor who's going to be selling your house." It's like, what the fuck, dude? That was extremely creepy.
But then her mom was there too, and she was like, "Oh yeah, just walk right in."
Yeah, and then there's like this. You know how when you have kids and you mark how tall they are on the wall? She has one of those in her room, and he's like, "This will need to be painted over, obviously," and that seems to like really bum Emily out. But then, where am I in this recap? Okay.
Well, was Emily the one who was she also the one who was gay? I think because then they gave her the moment where she's like, "I always knew I was different," and it was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, they really saddled this character with a lot. She is one of the two minority characters in the entire program, and is a double minority because she's a lesbian.
Bet 1,000.
It's yeah. And she's sad about moving to Texas, and I was never sure if the other three even knew that she was going to be moving. I thought it felt like she was maybe keeping that a secret, because everyone has secrets on this show, I guess.
Oh, secret. Speaking of secrets, we haven't mentioned the group therapy sessions that are going on during this.
We're getting to that. We are getting to that. Don't worry.
Okay.
Because
never forget.
Because I guess the cops want these girls to come clean about what really happened with Ian. Everyone decides that what needs to happen is group therapy, where all four of them sit in a room and talk to one therapist, and it's the most bizarre thing ever.
It's very clear they're all communicating and figuring out what to say, and it's like, this is why I don't.
If you ever wanted to get to the truth out of any of these four women who seem to be pathological liars, you should not put them together. Like, what? And the therapist is talking to them, and they don't tell her anything, and then they have a moment later where they're debriefing after this therapy session, and they're like, I think we should tell her what's going on. We'll show her the blackmail material. And the next time they go see the therapist, they spot behind her, like on her shelf or something, the master's degree diploma of the English teacher, who is Arya's, I guess, erstwhile lover at this point.
Right. And so then we're like, oh, A is in his place and also knows. Yeah, it's so A is everywhere, basically.
A is omniscient, clearly.
That's why I'm telling you, it's God friended me, but the Old Testament, it's bored. It's a bored Old Testament God.
Oh my God. But, so yeah, they are trying to one of them is about to blurt out everything, and they're like, actually, you know what, we have to go. One of them says, our time is up, and that's, like, I get what they were trying to do there, but it just feels so stupid and hackneyed. And then they leave without telling the therapist anything for yet again. Yeah, and then at one point, Spencer's older sister, who's preggers, is talking to Spencer. She's like, I'm sorry I said that about you not being in a baby's life. Ian and I have decided we are going to name the baby Taylor. And, it's the therapist then is shown leaving her office, like, very late at night. And there's clearly someone stalking her. But when she turns around to confront them, they are not there.
Not only clearly, there is a shadow within a foot of her. She sees the shadow, and she turns, and there's no one there. It is awful.
It's terrible, because it's very clearly the shadow of the hooded figure who pushed Ian down the bell tower.
But they were within 3 feet, and then she turns quickly.
They had to have been standing directly behind the therapist.
It wasn't like a light 60 feet away that it was just a huge shadow. No, it was very defined and small. They were right there. They teleported. Oh, it makes me so angry.
Yeah, and then Spencer is locking the door at her house or something, and she hears a noise outside, but surprise, it's just her boyfriend who her dad kicked out of the house earlier, and he just really wants to see her. And then,
so that's when she's walking around after, wait, wasn't she in bed or something? Because then she's clearly she slept in a bra, and it was just people don't do that.
We're getting to the sleeping in a bra with full makeup. Yeah, we're getting it's coming right up. So Spencer, they hang out for a little bit, and I guess the unspoken is they bone, and he leaves, and she's going back inside and relocking all the doors. And she hears a phone go off from the couch cushions, and it's her older sister's phone. And there's a text that says, I can't tell you, it's not safe yet.
Oh,
and she realizes that Ian is still, number one, still alive and in contact with her older sister.
Or is A just messing with people.
I mean, probably, but at this point I was sort of thinking, we did, but who knows what Ian is up to. I mean, he grew up in Smart House.
Sorry,
he's capable of anything.
This is the prestige. That's Ian's other self. Gotcha. Sorry, forgot.
Yeah. So I then sort of read between the lines, and I was like, oh, the reason that the older sister made up with Spencer is because Ian told her that Spencer, in fact, didn't kill him, which I guess is the sort of unspoken suspicion throughout the entire episode. which
Yeah,
is
like
kind of
he's-
amazing.
Like, he's missing, and she says that he died, and they're like, no, you killed him. And it's just like, what? Like, why would you... Like, I wouldn't come forward then. Like, it seems like a poor choice.
You know what? And so Spencer takes the phone, and then she sends an SOS to the other Pretty Little Liars, and all of them.
Right.
This is like the middle of the night at this point, and we see
Yes, yeah.
we see lead liar Aria jump out of bed wearing like expensive lingerie and a bra in full makeup, and they just all run to they meet up in what I think is an abandoned greenhouse or something, and. Because there's a shot overhead of them all standing beneath this glass-walled and glass-ceilinged place, but it's like clearly in disrepair or whatever.
It's actually called the Place of Lies.
The Palace of Lies. And so they're talking, and she tells them about the phone, and she's like, "It's Ian," or he says it's Ian. And they're like, well, you have to ask him something only Ian would know.
Oh, right.
And so she texts him, "What is the name of our baby?" And I guess because she's supposed to be posing as her older sister.
Like, yeah, did they check if there was a chat? Like, that the conversation already been going for like 15 chat messages, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna throw in a quick test question."
It was also weird because this season aired in 2011, and by that point, literally everyone and their brother had an iPhone or a smartphone of some kind, and this is very clearly an old school flip phone. So what is going on with Spencer's older sister that she has yet to upgrade to a smartphone? It's very
She's a late adopter. It happens.
I mean, she's busy getting preggers, so you know what? More power to her. They ask him, what is the name of our baby? And he responds, Taylor. And then there's a rat-tat-tat at the window, and all of them freak out, and then the episode ends. But there's like a post-credits stinger where we see A in Emily, the lesbian liar's room, and she is deleting the copies containing the blackmail video that they've been holding on to. So I guess all of the narrative stakes in season 1 involving this video are null and void now, because we're definitely
they
given
can just lie about having it, right? So that's par for the course of this crew.
But we're definitely given the impression that the only copy that existed of this video was on Emily's laptop, and now it is gone.
No one's heard of backups or passwords apparently in this crew. A knows all.
A probably knows Emily's password, and yeah. So I am here. It's time for predictions, which we don't get to do when we watch movies, and I always kind of miss it. So time for predictions. You obviously think that A goes on to see the error of his ways or her ways and becomes God, the New Testament God in God Friended Me.
No.
That's
this
not
God
your
stays.
prediction.
This God stays OT. It's going. It's
He
only
stays
getting
Old
darker.
Testament and takes it into overtime. Oh my god. Yeah, I would love to keep watching this show, but I also know that I will just become obsessed with it, and frankly, I don't need that in my life. So I'll just let you and Allison watch it, and then I'll bug you about what's happening. I will
gladly relay insanity to you.
I did say at one point, I might just watch every season finale and season premiere until I finish the series, because that's like 14 episodes,
That's
that's
still
not a huge
chunk.
That's like one season of an Amazon series. I can handle that. But I think that, so also one thing we didn't mention, but if you're familiar with the show, you know that the 4 Pretty Little Liars used to have a 5th, and that person died. And then their clique sort of fell apart. But then when there's like this blackmail incident where they get this video, they all return together and reunite. And the friend's name who died was Allison, and not coincidentally, the person texting them is A. And so you're, I think, led to believe that Allison either is not in fact dead or had an evil twin or something. I don't know what you're supposed to think.
How many evil twins can a show have? Is the real question here.
I think, you know what? If any show can answer that, I'm confident it's Pretty Little Liars. And
the upper bound is 12.
I'm thinking it's either like Allison is not dead and has a split personality, like A and Allison.
That's a twist I did not think of.
And I'm thinking it's either that or A is like someone who's always been jealous of the Pretty Little Liars and wants them to think it's A, and also Allison is not actually dead and is just like on a trip somewhere.
Yeah, and the character A is just like there's gonna do a series of flashbacks, and you're gonna see the character of A just like in the background of like every single shot for like the entire last season.
Like in the movie version of what is it, the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, where you learn all about Snape's love for Lily Potter like throughout the years. Spoiler alert, by the way, for Harry Potter,
just perpetually in the background.
Oh my god, I would love a sequence like that where all of a sudden Allison/A has been involved in all of this from the very beginning.
Ever noticed? Like a wallflower type.
They go back to that shot of blind Jenna like standing on the sidewalk, and then they zoom even further in the background, and who's there but Allison? Enhance computer, enhance. Oh god, yeah. I'm so curious about the rest of this series because it's so bad and so fun to watch all at the same time.
This is primo bad watch material. Highly recommended. A+ terrible.
Yeah, as long as you know what you're getting in for before starting it, like I don't think I can recommend it highly enough. It's really sort of amazing how bad it is and how fun it is. Man. But you know how I'm feeling, Andy?
Are you feeling
financial now?
Oh, right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We do not have a sponsor this week. For various reasons.
Are we going broke?
No, because a good spot for everyone to learn more about our show is badwatchpod.com, where you can find links to our episodes on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes. You can also go to our merchandise store and buy cool t-shirts and long sleeve t-shirts and hoodies and things like that.
T-shirts are very comfy, so even if you don't want to, like,
super soft.
If you don't really care about the show so much, I was like, yeah, I'll get one, and then I was like, this shirt is just really comfortable.
So the takeaway from that, ladies and gentlemen, is Andy doesn't really care about the show too much. He just likes a comfy shirt.
I'm just a hangers-on.
Okay, that's what, fair. That's fair. But
I'm here for the t-shirts.
To briefly return to Pretty Little Liars, though, I will say that it's loosely based on a series of young adult novels, and I was at a used bookstore yesterday, and I legitimately tried to find some of these books, and they were sold out. So that's unfortunate. But perhaps I'll read the books and feel less like I'm wasting space while following this story instead of watching television. But,
I gotta check this out. This is exciting.
It's really wild. Yeah, but Andy, what's our next segment on this show?
It's Good Watch time.
Okay, I was totally setting you up to do the Good Watch, but I guess you're not gonna do that.
It's Good Watch time.
Oh, that's
the Andy's take on it.
Fair. Okay, you can go first because I actually am having trouble thinking of one.
Okay, my recommendation right now is one I'm recommending to Allison, and because folks, y'all don't know my wife, but she lived under a rock and hasn't seen.
Oh, kind of like her husband.
I don't know what you're talking about, but her movie life is sorely lacking, and so I've had to train her and learn her, teach her the ways of movies. And so one that we're going to watch sometime soonish is the Maltese Falcon, which I absolutely love. It's 1941, Humphrey Bogart doing Humphrey Bogart things. It's a detective flick, and it is so gosh darn good. There's a goober that everyone's trying to get. It's supposed to be gold. The Maltese Falcon, everyone's chasing it, and it's just there's murder, there's intrigue, there's amazing acting, and it is just an amazing movie. One of my favorite bits is Peter Lorre is in it, and he is just such an insane actor. He's crazy.
A crazy person, but he's amazing in that movie. It is. I can second that. I watched this in a film class in college, and it's great. It's really incredible. And Sidney Greenstreet plays the villain.
Yes. Oh, it's excellent.
Yeah, everyone in it is so good. It's such a cool story. So yeah, the Maltese Falcon. Everyone should watch that, including my sister. Now, my good watch is a little movie called 8th Grade, which you can find on Amazon Prime. Ooh. And it was written and directed by the comedian Bo Burnham. And the main reason I'm recommending it is, well, it's an amazing movie, but also because it portrays middle school life and middle school anxieties in a way that is so accurate. It's a little bit scary, at least it like makes you a little uncomfortable to watch because it puts you right back into like your 8th grade body, which is not a real comfortable place for anyone. But it does such a good job of grappling with that period of time in a young person's life and writing a really moving story around that. And the main actress in it, Elsie Fisher, is you finish the movie and you just want to give her the biggest hug because she's so amazing in it. She's so talented. And like, it is funny. It is written by a comedian, but it's like, I don't want anyone to go in thinking it's like, super bad or something. It gets really intense at times, but
though I have to say, like, I was thinking, your review here made me think of Superbad, which I also, it resonated very strongly with me for like high school. So it's not, I mean, Superbad is a little bit wonkier and there's some real ridiculous stuff that happens, but it's like that movie also resonated. So I haven't seen this. I've heard really good things and I love Bo Burnham's work. And anyone, you should check out his stand up on YouTube or wherever it's available. His stuff is excellent. So I'm excited to see this. It's definitely it's been on my list since I heard about it, but I haven't checked it out yet. So
if you've seen Pretty Little Liars and you recognize that their depiction of high school is completely ludicrous, I highly encourage you to check out the movie 8th Grade, which is maybe almost too accurate in its portrayal of 8th grade. So just, opposite ends of the spectrum. That's how we like to do things here. But please give us a review on iTunes. You can follow me on the internet places at Evan W. Stoner, and you can follow Andy on his way to work.
But don't do that.
He's Andy.
That guy's Evan.
And this is Bad Watch, the new Pretty Little Liars fan cast you never wanted. Goodbye, everybody.
They did, though.
Secretly, they did. They just wouldn't.